Well, we continue our Sopranos theme. And welcome to Addicted to Acting. I'm Gary Tanguay, and I am a full blown addict. I love acting. I love to talk to actors. I just live it and I love it. And maybe someday I'll make some money at it. Our guest is Frank Santorelli. And you know him, of course, from the comedy scene, but you also know him from the classic hit, The Sopranos, in which he played the lovable bartender, Georgie, who everybody seemed to like to beat up. So the first question I have for you, Frank, is why are you addicted to acting, and are you addicted to acting?
Oh yeah, I was an actor before I was a comedian. Um, I was in high school, and the play Wizard of Oz. They did four a year when I was in high school, and it was a big deal at my high school. We had this incredible, iconic director guy, and I'm in the back of the room talking and cutting up. And anyway, he yells at me, and anyway, I was an Oreo guard in the Wizard of Oz. That was my first role. You know, the Oreo, those guys. So anyway, that was my first ever time on stage, really. And so I did four plays a year for 4 years. I did 16 plays. And in probably like nine or 10 of them, I had lead roles because I was one of the few guys that would do that at that time. And
Right.
so I was a football player too. So I was the first in history, uh, what they call it, I hate to say this, theater fag football player, which was unprecedented. No one had ever even heard of that before. So um, he asks me, "Do you have any other football player guys that want to be in this?" And I asked them, and they said yes. So anyway, we all big guys were the Oreo guards. So anyway, from there, I just I was always the class clown and special sound effects and making everybody laugh at the lunch tables. And so anyway, I had about 10 of the out of the 12 plays I did leading roles, 16 of them, maybe 10 of them I was the
So,
lead. And so
so you were Zach
hey,
Efron. You were Zach Efron before Zach Efron.
that's right. And so anyway, I went to Ohio University, and that was a big deal too. That was one of the top 10 or 12 theater schools in the country at the time. And so I studied acting for about a year and a half, and then I left and went to New York and studied acting there, and sort of fell into the comedy thing. That wasn't really I had been to a couple comedy shows, and it just never occurred to me. A couple friends of mine said, "You should be a comedian." And that's how the whole comedy thing started. But really, I'm an
What high school did
actor.
you go?
What's that?
What high school did you go to?
It was called Mayfield High School in Mayfield Heights, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so all right. So take us through how you fell. Well, I do want to talk about the acting, but tell us how you fell into comedy.
Well, I was kind of scrounging. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was 26 years old, and I was landscaping, you know.
Yeah.
And friends of mine kept saying, "You need to go down to the Cleveland Comedy Club," which was a brand new club at the time. The opening act there was Rodney Dangerfield. So
Wow.
anyway, I went down to the open mic night there, and I won. I won like 4 weeks in a row. It was a Sunday night, packed with crazy people into this shoebox, and I won 4 weeks in a row. And I started working at the club. And so I did that for about 4 years. And a friend of mine who was living here in Boston said, "You got to come to Boston, man. There's a ton of comedy here. There's comedy clubs. There's one nighters. There's colleges, you know." So anyway, I came here on a weekend and went to Tony V's open mic night at the Charles Playhouse. Now, this is 1985.
Wow. Who's
Yeah.
better than that guy, huh?
Oh, my God. So
He's
he's
the best.
single handedly responsible because the guy who was friends with me said, "You're never going to get up. There's a million comedians that want to get up. You're never going to get up. We'll just go and we'll meet Tony." And anyway, his wife, Kristen, was working the door at the time. And so I walk in. And my friend, his name was Phil Van T. I don't know if you ever knew that guy. Big, tall, 6'7" comedian. Did Letterman and stuff like that. He brings me in and he says, Tony, this is my friend Frank from Cleveland. He's a comic. He goes, you're next. I swear to God. He goes, you're next. I go, what? He goes, the guy who was supposed to be here isn't showing up. So I'll put you up. I said, okay. He goes, just do like 7 minutes. And so I went up and I killed in front of everyone. I'm talking everyone. That was a Booker's, comedians, Don Gavin, Barry Crimmins was there. All kinds of, hierarchy of the Boston comedy scene. And they all saw me kill. And so I started working right away. And I have never left. I was originally from Cleveland. I came here and started making a living as a comic. That was in 1985, and I'm still making a living here as a comedian.
What is your process in developing your material?
Well, I mean, I'm not like most comics. I'm not a joke writer. I'm more of just being funny. I'm funny. My material is pales in comparison to like somebody like Tony, who's an incredible creator of content and coming up with stuff. And I'm just trying to make people laugh. So if you see my stand-up, it's a mishmash of impressions, sound effects, all the stuff I was doing at the lunch table in the 9th grade. I'm not kidding. The skipper from Gilligan's Island I do. It's just this mishmash of, I tell jokes, I do impressions, I make fun of the room, whatever's going on, wherever I'm at. Like last night I was in West Yarmouth, and there was like 12 people in the audience. It's not the most glamorous job in the world a lot of times, but anyway, I worked with some funny guys. We had a blast. There was 12 people there. They loved it. But, material goes out the window on a situation like that. You sort of make fun of the place you're at.
Right.
And stuff like that. So
you don't write anything down. Do you put like bullet points in? Okay.
I more listen. If somebody says something funny, I listen and I go, oh my God. My sister-in-law says, when I was 18 years old, I got drunk. I fell asleep on the bathroom floor. I woke up in the morning and there was the scale. So I weighed my head. It weighs 22 pounds. I'm very depressed about it. I'm a fathead. So I wrote the fathead part, but she's the one that said she woke up, drunk off her ass, puked into the toilet a couple times, and then looked over and there was the scale. So I weighed my head. That's a joke that I've been doing ever since she said that to me.
Well, I've seen you at Giggles. I've seen you at Giggles on Route 1, so I know what you mean. I think when I watch you do comedy, there's a rhythm to it. And I think that the reason I think you're funny, from my observation, is if you were doing it alone, you would be making yourself laugh.
Yeah.
Because when I saw you do it, and I saw Pete Holmes do this. You must know him, right? The kid from Concord. Yeah. I saw him in LA. It was just an open mic night, and he came in and he was like, I'm working on material. Right? He had index cards. It was like him and TJ Miller both came in with cards. They're like, they got up and they kind of said, this is probably gonna suck. And they gave out free beer or whatever. And he was just and he was going through his cards and he was making himself laugh. And he goes, yeah, that one's no good. But when I saw you, I think the same thing. So when an audience comes in the first 10 seconds, they think good time.
Yeah, absolutely. I come in, I don't have an axe to grind. I don't make fun of people. I don't, And so I just want people to have fun when I'm up there. And that's me. And same thing with Tony. Tony was very influential. I watched him, you know what I mean? I would watch him and I would watch Gavin and Sweeney and Lenny and these guys. They were dinosaurs when I moved here in 85. They were the dinosaurs. I tell them now, You're from the Mesozoic age. It's like, you guys were old when I moved here. Now I'm one of the old guys,
And
But
those
those
guys,
guys were very influential, and I would watch them. And that, you
yeah,
don't steal, but what you see is how they do it and the confidence.
right,
Steve Sweeney was a big influence on me. Steve Sweeney's very much like me. If you watch the two of us, we do a lot of stuff where there's no talking. It's physical, and I'm
right.
doing the drunk guy, and I'm doing this guy, and so yeah, I'm not a joke writer. I could never write jokes. I don't have any jokes. I really don't. If you watch me, there's no jokes. I'm just being funny any way I can. If somebody says something, the room we're in, where we're at, I'm in Tewksbury, the entertainment capital of the world, that kind of stuff. You
Right.
make fun of where we're at now. So anyway, that's really the process is just the same as it's been since day one, just trying to make people laugh. That's all.
All right. So how does that translate to your acting, or does it?
All right. Yeah, because I was here in right around 85, 86, we started going to New York and working at Stand Up New York and the Cellar and the comic strip. We would get spots there. You could get spots. You had to send in a tape and, you pass either with the tape or not. And so I started working there as a stand up. And then an agent and a manager's guys would see you and say, "Hey, are you represented by anyone?" And so I don't know if you know the name Barry Katz.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a guy that was kind of a doorman, kind of a manager guy at the Play It Again Sam's in Brookline, right on Com Ave there. And so he said, "You have this was in New York. The management came that way. He was in New York at the time. He was from
Right.
Boston, but he went to New York and started managing people. Dave Chappelle, Dane Cook, and people like that. So I was with Barry Katz for a long time. And so anyway, the auditions would come. This is before the manager thing. We hear they're doing a hockey commercial and for HBO in New York. And so me and Kevin Knox and Tony and everybody, we all drove down there. We got Bruins jerseys. We blacked out our teeth and we went to these auditions. So that's really how the whole acting thing kind of started. I kind of put the acting thing on hold when the comedian stuff came in because I was making a living at it.
Right. You were working.
I mean, you can't make a living as an actor. You know what I mean? You really can't. If you're nobody, you can do auditions. You might get something, but this is steady work every weekend. The comedy was every weekend. And I mean, I was working out of a month. I'd work 26 days. And I'm talking real money, $50, $100, $50, 75, like that, all cash. And so anyway, the acting thing came from that. Yeah, I got commercials. I started doing commercials. I had a commercial agent, which is a whole separate thing.
It is.
McDonald's is looking for some guy to look at a coffee pot that's dripping, And so I would go down there for that and drive back 200 miles there, 200 miles back, three times a week.
I've done that.
Yeah, sure. Driving there, auditioning. Then they go, "Oh, they want to see you again." So anyway, the audition process I kind of knew from acting before I was a comedian. And so I brought the comedy to the acting, to the audition process. Yeah. And so when I auditioned for The Sopranos, I don't know if John told you this, but the casting agent is Christopher Walken's wife. Georgiana Walken is her name.
Right.
Walken Jaffe Casting is the name of the company. Anyway, they're all sitting there. They're all sitting there. And Gandolfini was there, David Chase, some other people just kind of milling around. And I don't know if you know the scene I'm in. The very first scene I'm in, I'm on a phone. I'm going, "Hello, hello, hello, hello." Those were the lines they gave me. Like literally 15 hellos. That was the words. Hello, hello. And then I look over and I go, "It's a menu." This is back when menus were brand new. And so anyway, I stop and they're all looking at me, complete like you're looking at me now. They're all just looking at me. And I go, "If I get this, I'm going to need more lines than this." Nobody laughed except for her. Georgiana Walken saved me. She went, she roared. Everybody else is sitting there like this. I go, well, that's that. I'm never going to get this thing. And they called me like a week later and said, you're in. Yeah. And that was that. And so it was supposed to be one day. I don't know if you wanted to just jump ahead of the Sopranos like that, but that's
No, no,
really
let's
what
stay on
happened.
it. I mean, you were, according to IMDb, you were there from 99 to '07.
Yes, I was there for the whole time, but not in all seasons.
Right.
I'm in like the first season, not the second, the third, the fourth, not the fifth, the sixth, like that. They would literally just call me and say, you're in the next episode. I had no contract. See, Fiore had a contract and a storyline. I had no storyline. I'm going to be a trivia question 30 years from now. Who was that bartender guy? And what was he? And who was he attached to? The answer is nobody. It's weird. I'm Georgie, and for some reason, it got to be Georgie Santorelli. They're using my last name.
Right.
It's totally bizarre. Like nobody else in the show. And I was mad at first. I was kind of like, no, it's just Georgie. And then I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, I'm an idiot. Of course they use my last name. Absolutely. And so anyway, when you look it up, it says Georgie Santorelli, which is totally and completely bizarre because the character is just Georgie.
Right.
And
right.
There's just I'm not attached to anything. I show up and then I'm gone for 15 episodes. And then I show up and I'm in 2 in a row. And I get beat up with a chain and Joe Pantoliano hits me in the face with a big chain with a lock at the end of it. I'm in like 12 scenes in that episode.
So tell us about working with Joey Pants.
Oh, it was great. Wow, he was amazing. And I'll tell you why. He didn't tell me anything. He didn't even come up to me. And so when he opens that door, I don't know if you know that scene.
Yeah.
And he goes, I've come to reclaim Rome for my people. He goes like that. And I go, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, gladiator, you idiot. And he takes a pretzel, like a pretzel rod, and breaks it on my chest. He doesn't tell me he's going to do that. He just does it. So it was great,
right?
Because it's a real reaction from me. Then he grabs my face and he screams into my face. He grabs me like that. He was doing all kinds of stuff like that wasn't in the script that nobody told me he was going to do. And he really is one of them. What at the time, he hasn't done a lot of stuff in recent years, but he was one of the most respected guys around. And he won an Emmy.
He won an Emmy on The Sopranos.
He was helping direct some of those episodes. He really was. He had a vision. He was amazing. Yeah. Joe Fiore in Italian, Little Pants.
I didn't know that.
Isn't that funny? That's his nickname. It is funny.
Well, Fiore told me the reason Gigi got written off was because Pants was coming on.
That may have been true.
Yeah, he said they had to make room for Joey Pants.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, that could be true because, HBO was physically ill over the fact that they had to pay so many people. I mean, Lorraine Bracco, Michael Imperioli, Paulie Walnuts, the list, there's like 9 people. And I always wondered, why wasn't Georgie's character bigger? And my friend said, no. They didn't want to make you a star too, because then they'd have to pay you too.
Right. That's
so my part never got any bigger. And it was just weird how they would just call me and then I wouldn't hear from them for months and months would go by. And so, yeah, it was a great experience. It was like a dream hanging out with those people. I was hanging out with Bruce Springsteen and, it was just awesome how many people would show up to the set. Just so Tony Siragusa. Remember that guy, the Goose, the big football player?
I know, yeah. I met Tony, yeah.
Sure. He was there. And, Brian Williams, the newscaster, would be just people just be hanging out there watching the shoot.
And groupies.
Coupled with the fact that there was half-naked women running around.
Well, there's that too. The Bada Bing, was that a real place?
It was. It was called the Satin Dolls, and it was in Lodi, New Jersey, literally 15 minutes from Manhattan. You cross over the GW, And Lodi, Route 16 went like this. You made 15 minutes from Manhattan. They would pick us up in a van, a bunch of us at the very beginning. Then once people got their money, they got their own way to. Anyway, they'd pick us up in a van in the middle of Manhattan and drive us over there. And it was a real strip club. And that guy who owns the place, probably, I don't know who he is or if he even still alive, but he must have thought he died and went to heaven because he owned a seedy strip club in Lodi, New Jersey that had 6 people in it, and it became world famous. And a huge poster, a huge sign on the front, home of Tony Soprano's Bada Bing. Oh, yeah. And as we were shooting and stuff, cars would go by at 5 miles an hour. There'd be a traffic jam in front of that place every day that we shot, just to get a glimpse of Gandolfini coming out of the building or something. Yeah.
What was it like to work with Jimmy?
He was amazing. He really was a gentleman. He was, I worked very closely with him many times. I mean, I'm in 13 episodes and 9 of them I'm with him, and so he was, I want to say he wasn't stressed, but he had a lot to do. And he always had his script with him. So there wasn't like I could walk up to him and tell him a joke. Oh, no. No. Yeah, he was sequestered. He was literally sequestered. And that's a show business thing. Like, if you really want to talk to James Gandolfini, you got to go to the AD first. And say, could I talk to Jim? And then they would go to Jim and he would say yes or no. And it wasn't like he was trying to be a big shot. He was with his script. He's in every scene. The whole show was about him. Ridiculous how much he had to do. And so, yeah, I worked with him and the pressure was on me because he could mess up.
You couldn't.
He had 20, 30 lines with me. Georgie, listen, if somebody got and I had 2 lines. And if I messed up, that was bad because I only had 2 lines,
Right.
And so a couple times he came over to me and he said, "You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. Really, they like you. They like you." And I was only supposed to be in 1 episode.
Right.
I was only supposed to be 1 day and gone.
Yeah, John said he was a reluctant star. I mean, John stayed at his place in Manhattan. I mean, he was a very generous guy.
Oh, he gave money to the firefighters and the cops. He gave money to all of us. When he made his millions, when he got $1 million an episode, he gave everybody money. Everybody. It was awesome. Even the crew. Got these huge leather jackets embossed with Sopranos on the back, this thick. He gave those, they were $3,000 a piece or something like that. Specially made watches. We had these Kobold watches, which is a deep sea diving watch. He met the guy who was the president of the company, gave everybody watches, and he really was very generous. And he was great. I think he was our Marlon Brando. His face was unbelievable. You could see everything on his face. And he was a method actor. So he was a little cuckoo. There's footage of him punching a van with his bare hands, leave a stone in his shoe, to be angry, didn't sleep. There's one episode where he's sick. He made himself sick, they said. He literally made himself sick.
Right.
Like didn't sleep for 3 days, didn't shave, didn't take a shower. You see him in that episode, you go, oh my God, he looks like he's really got the flu, So he was a method actor. And that's what those guys do. They live the part. And so that's kind of what hurt him. He put on all kinds of weight. And, he asked me and John to go out once. And we said no. We were driving back to Boston. The only scene we're in together, me and John, is that episode right here, hit the face with a chain. John's in that episode with me. And so we drove out together and drove home. And as we're leaving, Gandolfini came running out of the parking lot and he goes, "Hey, where are you guys going?" "Oh, yeah, we're going back to, come on, we're going in the limo. We're going to go." Well, if you went in the limo with him, you were gone for a couple days.
Right. Yeah.
Days. Yeah. So he lived that part, man. He lived that part. He was Tony Soprano.
Well, he
with every
really
fiber
changed.
of his being.
He changed the game as far as not being the prototypical leading man.
Absolutely. One year they forgot to nominate him for an Emmy. 1 year they forgot. They just didn't do anything, and he didn't even care. He was like, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't care. But he got the girls. He had the power, but he didn't look like Robert Redford. And that
Yeah,
changed television.
absolutely. I went to the premiere with John, and it was at Radio City Music Hall with 5,000 people there, and the biggest TV screen I ever saw in my life. We watched the first 2 episodes, and I'm standing there waiting for my manager. There's literally a red carpet there. Nobody knows who I am. And here comes Steven Van Zandt, who was the nicest guy in the show, by the way. Total gentleman. Why? Because he was a millionaire for a quarter century before The Sopranos.
Oh, yeah.
He come up with his wife, and he goes, Georgie, how you doing, buddy? And I said, good. And he walks about 10 steps, and he turns around, and he goes, what the hell is your real name anyway? I said, it's Frank. He goes, okay. Gandolfini, 10 minutes later, with his brand new son, like this, like a baby, like a 6-month-old baby, with his wife, who he ended up divorcing.
Yeah.
He goes, Georgie, what's up, buddy? And he hits me on the arm. Gets about 10 steps. He turns around. He goes, what the hell is your real name anyway? Literally 5 minutes later, they both said exactly the same thing to me. So I said Georgie to him. You know what he said? I said, he goes, what's your real name? I said, Frank. He goes, let's keep it Georgie. I said, okay. For the money you're paying me, absolutely, you can keep it Georgie.
Well, as we wrap this up, what was it like to work with David Chase?
David Chase would just look at me and laugh. I swear to God. I'd go to they had huge meetings where we would do the read-through. And I was a comedian, and by that time, everybody kind of knew I was a comedian. I raised my hand once, and I go, can I shoot somebody? And everybody laughed, and David Chase thought it was the funniest thing he ever heard. I raised my hand, I go, can I shoot somebody? Can I do And he goes, no. He goes like that. So he was great. But he would just look at me and just crack up. So I think in his mind, he thought, oh, he's the one that said, put tattoos on this guy. Come in the makeup trailer. Bust the door open. Put tattoos on his girl. Goes, what? Put some tattoos on his arm. Just go crazy. Well, guess what? After the first episode, it took 5 hours to put them on. 5 hours. They had to be exactly the same every time. And they were like Celtic crosses and Chinese writing and all kinds of crazy stuff. But David Chase was great. I mean, we didn't really, there was no, I literally never really even talked to him. So, they had a bunch of different directors too. So, but he was, he was very affable, funny, and, he just smiled. But he would look at me and
that's
go,
one of the things, that's what people, people don't realize that, especially a show like The Sopranos, where you have so many episodes, it's always like 60 minutes of television. You got to move. I mean, you don't have a lot of time to sit around. It's not like shooting a film where you're going to shoot, today we'll shoot 30 seconds and maybe we'll use it. You got to go.
And they never once said to me, do you know your lines? Do you know what you're doing? I'm like, you go. You better know what you're doing. Otherwise, they'll replace you like a light bulb,
Right.
Yeah. No, it was very high pressure. There was I was there for 2 days. And it took, that was a minute and a half on camera. But it took 2 days to shoot it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very painstaking. And they shot it on film, by the way. People don't understand. It's not video. It's a film using Panavision cameras like in a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, listen, Frank, it's been great talking to you. I love your comedy.
Thanks, man.
Congratulations. Continued success. Anything you want to promote?
No. I'm at Giggles next weekend in Saugus, the Leaning Tower.
When are you not at Giggles?
Tonight.
All right, Frank. Listen, Frank Santorelli, The Sopranos, stand-up comedian.
I'd love to be on again and continue this conversation if you want.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, Frank. I mean, I really appreciate it. Hey, listen, you be good.
Thanks, buddy. Bye.
Thanks for coming on Addicted to Acting, and drive safe.